Hi yogis! Whether you're doing a photo shoot for your website or because you have an upcoming workshop, or maybe it's just to build your brand on Instagram or Facebook, it's really important to think about how you're going to come across. So today is tips for your first yoga photo shoot. Tip number 1, do hire a professional photographer. Even if your best friend has a wonderful DSLR, they might not be qualified to shoot yoga. Hire a professional photographer who has shot yoga or dance before. Even sometimes if a photographer has a lot of experience in shooting landscape or weddings or portraits, this is not the same as shooting yoga. It's really important to find a photographer that's going to bring out the best in you. So do your research and do hire a professional photographer. I know straight out of teacher training or as beginning yoga teachers, it's really hard to find the funds for these types of projects. But keep in mind, this is an investment in your future. And if you listen to these tips and tricks, hopefully you can use these photos for years to come. Tip number 2, know your audience. It's really important to think about who you're going to be teaching to when you take shots for your website, your Instagram feed, or your branding. For example, if you're going to be offering a beginner series or maybe yoga to an elderly population, if you shoot photos of yourself in a headstand, it'll seem really inaccessible to them. So it's important that you shoot poses where people can look at you and say, hey, I can do that, or I want to do that. Conversely, if you're shooting photos geared towards advanced yoga practitioners or maybe athletes, it is cool to throw in a trick or two so people can aspire to try and do the poses that you can. They're going to want to learn from you. Tip number 3, think about wardrobe. So you want to stand out from your background. If you're shooting outdoors, it's probably a good idea to wear neutrals, all white, all black, black and white. This way, it's really easy to see your body as a contrast to the beautiful scenery that you're being photographed in. On the other hand, if you decide to shoot in a studio, this is a great opportunity to express your personality through your outfit, whether that's colors or patterns. Yoga studios tend to be pretty neutral, so it's a good opportunity to really show off your wild side. On the subject of patterns though, it's important to think about patterns that are timeless. You don't want these photos to be dated. So if you, for example, use yoga pants from a particular company that everybody knows and loves that have a very specific style for their spring collection, that's going to be very obvious in a few years when you use those photos. So if you are using patterns, it's great to use patterns that are timeless, like polka dots or stripes, things that won't be so obviously from a certain era. Tip number 4, do poses that you love. Choose the poses that you know you look great in and feel great in. The poses that make you feel beautiful, elegant, empowered, strong, hunky, hot, sexy, feminine, masculine. Poses that you love, that make you feel great, that really express your yoga, that's going to come across in these photos. Do try to get in a headshot or two. You're always going to need a headshot, whether it's for your bio on your website or if you teach at a festival or conference eventually, someone will ask you for your headshot in your yoga career. So it's great to have a headshot on hand that's professional, that you love, that you can use as a go-to anytime somebody asks you for one. Don't use photos where your alignment is off. Your students are going to try to copy those photos, or you don't want to necessarily be judged based on your alignment. You don't want to run the risk of people looking at the photos and saying, oh, they're not going to be a good yoga teacher. Look, their ankle's turned the wrong way or their knee is compromised. So make sure that you are using photos where you look like a yoga superstar that you are. Make sure your alignment is spot on when you're choosing the final photos for your website, your branding, and your marketing. Do look like yourself. It's really important that your students or your potential students or potential clients are going to know what they're getting. And you want to look like yourself in order to present an honest and truthful picture of who you are. Of course you want to look like your best self, so it's okay to put on a little bit of makeup or make your hair look nice, but I wouldn't suggest getting your makeup done or putting your hair in an updo that isn't what you normally look like. You want people to know what they're getting. So I really hope that these tips will be beneficial and helpful to you to grow a wonderful yoga career. Just to sum up, 1, do use a professional photographer who has shot yoga or dance before. 2, know your audience. Choose poses that you think they will aspire to or feel are accessible. 3, think about your outfit. Remember that you want to stand out from your background. 4, do poses where you know that you look and feel amazing. 5, do try to get in a headshot or two. 6, Don't use photos where your alignment is off. 7, look like yourself, the best version of yourself. Well, I hope you will go forth and prosper and have great photos and be able to use these photos in all of your best yoga projects. Namaste. Thanks for joining me.